Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to the Holy Spirit's Blog Talk Radio Show. I'm your host, Minister G.L. Harden, and I thank you all for tuning in. All right, tonight's show, we're talking about interracial dating or interracial marriages and what's the big deal. We actually did a show about black men dating outside their race back last year, or I might say early in December. We did a show dealing with black men dating outside their race, and we got some interesting comments about that show, and we're going to talk a bit more in detail about interracial dating, and to the fact that, you know, at one time you can be killed being a black person dating a white person, a white woman particularly. You could be hanged, as in even with Emmett Till, when he alleged saw a woman's dress on a clothesline, and it was alleged he whistled at someone and he was hung. So we've come a long ways from relationship dealing with race relations and interracial mingling, you might say. But still, there's a long ways to go on that, and we're going to talk about both sides, because even though at times, you know, back in the day, it was the white folks who would get upset when there were interracial dating going on, namely when a black guy would marry a white woman. Now, the only time that would be accepted is when the black guy had some money, or some money and some fame to go to vote. And when that is the case, then it is pretty much accepted. We can talk about O.J. Simpson and his situation when he married Nicole Simpson, and it was on the record that O.J. made a lot of negative comments about African Americans at that time. Even though his first wife was an African American, he had some issues dealing with his people, and O.J. Simpson never did anything in the community, and even where he grew up at, he grew up poor, and he never gave back to the community in his time frame. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the latest statistics dealing with interracial dating as well as marriage, and how it's shaping up the world, and how things are really changing, man, when you talk about how people view each other. We talk about this new generation. It's a lot different now, and no longer do they look at a person's skin when they see them. So thank God that we are, in many senses, we're moving from the ignorance of race relations. And then finally, we're going to talk about the feature of the show, Tamera Mowry. And you know her from, she's an actress, and we all know her from Sister Sister. And she's done a lot of Disney things as well. And she's on the BET show called The Game. Tia and her sister, Tamara, and her sister Tia, they have been acting for nearly 20 years. And they've been around for a very long time. And Tamera, she actually got married last year. And they also have a show called, a reality show called Tia and Tamera, in which they were planning Tamera's wedding. And in this show, she even talked briefly about some of the racial backlog she was getting from people talking about her marrying a white man. And this has really hurt Tamera. And let's get this understood, people, that these two sisters, these two African American sisters, their mother was black and their father was white. But they have been really a really cornerstone, if you will, of grace and elegance and professionalism, how they've always carried themselves. You've never heard about them in some club wilding out or doing anything absurd or obscene. They've always done everything with extreme class and extreme grace, but that's an account of their parenting. And here they are now in their late 20s as adults, and now they're getting all of this negativity, well, primarily to Meryl because she married a white man. And we'll discuss that a little bit more later on in the show. But as I said, I did a show last month dealing with celebrities and different people marrying outside of the race. But one thing I talked about dealing with that show was I talked about this thing that Taye Diggs, there was something that TMZ said that Taye Diggs, actor Taye Diggs said when he was filming the movie The Best Man Part 2. And we know now that I knew from the get-go that Taye Diggs never made these comments, and they were taken out of context. But what was allegedly said was Taye Diggs made a comment saying that he was glad to get home to his wife, which just happened to be white, and that because he was on a set for several months with a bunch of angry black women that got on his nerves. So naturally, the women who are his fans, who are crazy about this brother Taye Diggs, got on the social media, and they just went ham on the brother about who you calling, who you talking about black women this way and that way. And again, he didn't say that. And it was on every talk show, radio shows were talking about it, morning, noon, and night, about the fact that he alleged that black women were uptight and they were angry all the time, and he was tired of being around them while shooting that movie. And again, he did come back and with a response saying he did not say that, and he made clarifications. And then from there we talked about different marriages in Hollywood per se, and we talked about either different marriages of people who are dating outside of their race, and we talked about Babyface, Tiger Woods, of course, Bob Johnson of BET, Terrence Howard is married to a white lady, Taye Diggs, of course, we just mentioned Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman and Wesley Snipes only date either Asian women or white women. Charles Barkley was married to a white woman. Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court judge. Kemba Walker, NBA player, as well as Kyrie Irving and Rudy Gay. These are all NBA players, as well as Reggie Bush, and then RG3. And recently we know that Michael Jordan recently was married to a white woman as well. And we'll talk about some other celebrities in a moment. But this topic is just amazing because, here we are in 2014, and we're looking at race and who we're connected to as if there's something wrong with it. And I'm not going on the defense for anybody, but you have to be in another person's shoes before you can judge on who he or she falls in love with. Because there are some African American women who have married some black men, and we'll talk about them in a moment as well. But I want to talk about some statistics that were done a few years ago dealing with marriages per se, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll get into different marriages and so on and so forth. And I'm sure these numbers will be alarming to you when you hear them, and when you actually see them, you will be truly amazed. I shouldn't say alarmed. That's not a good word, alarm, but you'll be surprised. And this I'm going to read this from the Huffington Post. They did an article some years ago. Well, actually 2 years ago, and it was an article they did about interracial marriages, and they were talking about in the U.S. interracial marriages had climbed to 4.8 million, and they say 1 in 2. As a steady flow of new Asian Hispanic immigrants expand the pool of prospective spouses, blacks are now substantially more likely than before to marry whites. And it's called a Pew Research study, was released back then, and they talked about diversifying America, where interracial unions and the mixed race children they produce are challenging typical notions of race. And this rise in interracial marriage indicates that race relations have improved over the past quarter century. And this is coming from a professor at Cornell University, Professor Daniel, I think his name is Leiter. And mixed race children have blurred America's color line, he said, and they often interact with others on either side of the racial divide and frequently serve as brokers between friends and family members of different racial backgrounds. But he also said that America still has a long ways to go. And then the figures come from a previous census, as well as the 2008 through 2010 American Community Survey, which surveys 3 million households, families. And the figures for white refer to those whites who are not of Hispanic ethnicity, for purpose of defining interracial marriages. Hispanic is counted as a race by many in the demographic field. But yet the study finds that 8.4% of all current U.S. marriages are interracial, up from 3.2% in the 80s. While Hispanics and Asians remain the most likely in previous decades to marry someone out of their race, the biggest jump in share since 2008 occurred among blacks, who historically have been mostly segregated. Black folks are marrying more interracially now than ever before. And we're going to talk about why that is, because I've heard a lot of different things that a lot of black women have told me. You know, again, I've bartended for 20 plus years, and I've heard all the dating cries and woes about finding a good man and so on and so forth. And I'll give you their perspective of why it is that it's been really a challenge to find a man, or a good man, as so many African American women say, hard to find at times. So now we're talking, the numbers are coincide with the Pew Survey data showing greater public acceptance of mixed marriages now, coming nearly half a century after the Supreme Court in 1967 it barred race-based restrictions on marriages. In 2000, Alabama became the first state to lift its unenforceable ban on interracial marriages. About 83% of Americans say it is all right for blacks and whites to date each other. This is 83% of Americans, and that's up by 48% since 1987. And as a whole, about 63% of those surveyed say it would be fine if a family member were to marry outside of their race. Minority young adults, the higher educated, and those living in western or northeast states were more likely to say mixed marriages are a change for the better for society. The figure was 61% of 18 to 29-year-olds, for instance, compared to 28% for those of 65 or older. And due to the increasing interracial marriages, multiracial Americans are a small but fast-growing demographic group, making up about 9 million, or 8% of the minority population. Together with blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, the Census Bureau estimate they collectively will represent a majority of U.S. population by the mid-century. Race is a social construct. Race isn't real, said Jonathan Brent, the son of a white father and a Japanese American mother. Brent helped organize multiracial groups in Southern California and believes his background helps him understand the situation from a different perspective. But now, a lawyer in Charlotte, Virginia, says at varying points in his life, he has identified with being white, and Japanese are more recently as someone of mixed ethnic background. He doesn't feel constrained with whom he socially interacts or dates. Race is becoming a personal thing. It is what I feel like I am, he said. According to the Pew report, more than 25% of Hispanics and Asians who married in 2010 had a spouse of a different race. And that's compared to 17.1% of blacks and 9.4% of whites. Of the 275,500 new interracial marriages in 2010, 43% were white Hispanic couples, and 14.4% were white Asians. 11.9% were white, black, and the remainder were other combinations. And still the share of Asians who intermarried has actually declined recently from 30.5% in 2008 to 20.7% in 2010. And in contrast, blacks who married outside their race increased in share from 15.5% to 17.1%, due in part of the rising black middle class that has more interaction with other races. That's interesting, that they're saying that due to the rise of black middle class, and they have more resources and outlets to reach a more diverse culture of people, that they tend to marry. And that does sound, it does make a lot of sense to me. So it really does. And in the past century, intermarriages have evolved from being illegal to a taboo, and then to be merely unusual. And with each passing year, it becomes less unusual, said Paul Taylor, director of Pew's Social Demographics Trend. That says a lot about the state of race relations, behavior have changed, and studies have changed. Interesting piece this was. And I remember there is this commercial, and they're still they still broadcast this commercial, and it's an interesting commercial. It's a Cheerio commercial, and you have this father who is on the couch, lying down, and his daughter, who obviously is an interracial little girl. I think she's about 5 years old or so, 5 or 6 years old in the commercial, and she's talking to her father about his heart. Or she's actually talking to her mother about the heart. And then when her mother explains about the heart and the Cheerios and so on and so forth, she takes the Cheerios and pours them on her father, who is in the living room sleeping on the couch. And then he wakes up and whatnot and so on and so forth. But the fact that they show this little kid with the mom in the kitchen, interracial kid with the mom in the kitchen who happens to be white, and then she runs through their living room, and there this black man is on the couch. There was so many people wanting to ban that commercial on TV. In 2013, and this was last year, about 6 months ago, that they first aired this commercial. And people were on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, I mean, blogging about this commercial, and then they had the audacity to say that the man was probably unemployed and lazy, laying on the couch. Amazing. Just amazing how the mind of the devil works, because that's an evil mindset, people. No matter how you look at it, that's an evil mindset. When you can look at a person's skin and think you're better. Who the hell told you was better? I didn't read anywhere in Scripture that said white is better, and white is smarter, and white is greater, or brown is better, or yellow, or black, whatever. Where are you getting these notions from? Who in the hell have fooled you to think that you are a better class of people? Let me explain something to you. These are principalities. That's why I don't sit there and say, oh, the white man this and the white man that, because that's not true. There's evil in every race. There's evil in every creed. Every nationality, there's evil. It's in the earth. But there is an evil that tries to divide a nation because you're so blinded and you're so ignorant that you make it easy for the wealthy to stay in power because you're so stupid. You segregate every damn thing. You got black love. You go to Hallmark. What the hell is black love? I'm looking for a card for my significant other. I don't need no damn section that says black love. What the hell is black love? I don't remember God talking about black love. So how dare you allow people to set yourself in a box and say, this is for you. Isn't this wonderful? And you buy it. And you buy it. And you're going to run up there in a few weeks for Valentine's Day and look for the black love section. What an insult that is. I ain't heard nobody yet say, take that crap down. The hell is black love? Common sense should tell you when you're making cards, you make cards of all ethnicity. I shouldn't have to put no section for black love. The hell is that? It's amazing. Give me a headache right now, just even the notion of it. Soon as you begin to let loose all the foolishness, all the segregation in Arkansas, they talk about segregation in Arkansas in 2014 of schools, that law, whatever, is about to end. Alabama trying to reinstate not marrying outside of your race. All of these things keeps your head in the dirt, and you're going to work your ass till you fall out. Because the wealthy are going to sit there and say, look at them fools down there. Because the wealthy don't see color, they see green. They see control. They see manipulation because they have no power. But we as the people of God, we give them so much power because we divide ourselves. Puerto Rican, Jewish, Asian, Hispanic, Black, Greek, Muslim. We just put all these cattle and God said, I didn't give you all that stuff. You did that. I didn't give you all that. Listen, I am God. It was good. That means everything in here is meant to be here. So who the hell are you to tell somebody they don't belong here? I don't care if they're from Africa. He put everything on this earth. Don't you see how beautiful the birds are? The fish, all the multicolors the animals are, the shapes. How dare you look at yourself and think you're different when you all bleed? You all get up, I don't care you're making $1 billion a year or 10,000 a year. Everybody get up to put their clothes on to go get that money. So who told you that your color made you better? Whew. So I'm going to give you a few celebrities who are in interracial marriages, and one is a very good actress. I remember she played that show called Whisker. I forgot the name of it, Ghost Whispers. The black lady, Aisha Tyler, she's married to an attorney, and she's been married since 1992, and they've been going strong, and they've been in college at Dartmouth, and they've been married, wow, nearly 20 years, and now she's the co-host of that show called The Talk. Wonderful sister, been married nearly 20 years. It's an awesome thing. And then we have, there's another actress who's been married for quite some time, and I was surprised she was. I didn't really know much about Alfre Woodard, but Alfre Woodard has been married to her husband, Roderick Spencer, for 29 years. I mean, 29 years. White guy. And that's unheard of, even in Hollywood. He's a screenwriter and a producer. And he's a teacher of arts. And they run an organization called Artists for a Free South Africa. A couple that does philanthropy together, stays together. And see, that's what I love about people who know who they are. And I'm talking about this sister, Alfre Woodard. Because one thing about her that you all don't know, this sister does so much in South Africa. so much of for liberation, but not only in South Africa, but she does it also in LA. And she goes about raising consciousness along with her white husband. Over 2 decades, people, going on 3 decades of uplifting people socially, helping inner cities in California, lower income housing. This woman, yeah, she's married to a black man, but I mean, to a white man, but the woman understands the struggles of her people. And see, what bothers me is this. A lot of times when we marry outside our race, especially black men, they don't do nothing for these people no more. Hence Tiger Woods. That brother, I mean, and I shouldn't bash him because he does a ton of stuff. He gives a lot as far as computers, and he does a lot of donations dealing with finances and so on and so forth. And so I'm gonna leave Tiger alone. I'm gonna back off of that because he does do that, because what I've learned in my spirit is this: some people, and I'm not talking about Tiger Woods, some people have callings, and although they're giving millions of dollars to research, millions of dollars and hundreds of dollars to schools and libraries, and doing little camps and football camps and basketball camps and all that, God is saying, but that's not your purpose. That's your handout. What I need you to do is uplift some people and move people. Anytime God uses you, it's always to elevate someone higher than who you are. And sometimes that means building a school. Taking these kids yourself, not your organization, but you single-handedly taking these kids and talking to them in their environment about how they can change and the power of God that dwells inside of them. That's priceless. A laptop depreciates. A basketball camp may enlighten, but everybody knows that in basketball camps, nearly less than 5% may even go to college or even pro. And you're talking thousands of camps around the world. So let's be realistic. But when you're feeding them the word, my God, you are planting seeds, my brothers. You're planting seeds, and it's time for you to begin to plant these seeds in these brothers here. Not just passing on bicycles. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But I'm yet to see anybody decide to build a school and say, you know what? Because there's so many schools, particularly in California, I mean in Chicago, New York City too, and Jersey, Philadelphia, all over. You got hundreds of schools that closed in Chicago in the past 18 months. Somebody can say, you know what? We're going to make this an African studies with my money. They're going to know who the hell they are, where they came from. And I don't give a damn what it costs. That's what I'm talking about. And we're going to plant a garden. We're going to teach them how to We're going to teach them how to survive. Because I'm going to tell you something. In this next century, you're going to need some survival tactics. How to make clothes. How to make a fire. All that stuff we did back in the 70s with camping, or you go in the 80s, you're going to need that, brother. Survival mode. Because once a kid learns his self-worth, whether it's a young little girl or a little boy, once they understand their self-worth, then they understand there's nothing they cannot do. And I know I jumped off the subject about the interracial thing, but I got to say this.
10 seconds.
Because there's too many of these brothers. Michael Jordan, another one. Babyface. When a black man marry a white woman, he don't do nothing for his RG3. Nothing. They may do a football camp, but that's what you do. That's God is saying that's what you do. Enlighten me. Don't trick me, and don't insult me. That's what you do. Football. That's your gift. Take them to Egypt. Take them inside those tombs. Take 10 kids to Egypt, Africa, for the whole summer. Ray Lewis do it. I bet y'all didn't know that. This brother Ray Lewis, retired NFL linebacker of the Baltimore Ravens, for decades have been taking kids back and have been changing lives, people. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. This actor, he's from Grey's Anatomy. I think his name is Justin Chambers. He's been married for quite some time to a lady who owns a modeling agency. Her name is Keisha Chambers, and they've been married, and they have 5 kids together. They've been married for over 15 plus years, a very long time, and they're going strong. And that's again, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And again, our sisters, you know, for the most part, even when they marry outside their race, they still know their culture. It's the black man. They lose their damn culture. Terrence Howard, Tay Diggs. I'm telling you, I can go all day. I can go all day with this thing. They lose their damn. It's almost like they're ashamed. And finally, Paula Patton. And we all know she's the beautiful actress Paula Patton. She's married to the singer Robin Thicke. And they've been married. They've been together 18 years, people, and they look beautiful. I'm talking gorgeous. 18. I'm speechless. I am 18 years, and they just had their first son. Let me tell you something. They enjoyed themselves. They took their time to learn one another and to grow, and that's a beautiful thing. That's an awesome thing, people. Love is so awesome. So we were talking in the beginning about Tamara Mowry, and I want to read this piece about her, and beautiful sister she is, and we all know her. And again, from the shows she did early on in the years, and quite a few Disney shows she's done, and wonderful actress and wonderful person. I've never met this sister, but every time I see them, either her or her sister, they always smile. They have so much energy. And that's what God gives us, people, energy. These women create energy everywhere they go. Not saying they're perfect, but wow, amazing energy. But it says in this article that Tamara Mowry, her last name is Housley, she found it hard to hold herself together while talking about racism she faced after marrying a white man. And during the appearance on Oprah's show, Where Are They Now?, Tia and Tamara talked about their families, although people are much more accustomed to seeing her bubbly personality on Tia and Tamara, and the real Tamara got really sad when the topic of race came up. And see, this is where I get emotional because it's hurtful. And this is Tamara speaking about it on the Oprah show, and she was choking back in tears, people, and wiping the tears from her eyes. And she said, people choose to look past love and spew hate. And that's what hurts me, because I have never experienced so much hate ever in my life. Again, here this woman is a grown woman now. And all she did was fall in love. And now America wants to decide, we're some evil people. I mean, oh God, I rebuke that. There are some evil people in this world. And that's why I'm not so crazy about the social media. Because you can say, have a nice day. And somebody will go, what the hell do you mean, have a nice? I mean, it's just amazing of the type of people when you expose yourself to people that try to tear you down. The evils of this world. And I'm telling you, some people are bona fide. They're here for a reason. To kill and destroy. And they work for the devil. And whether you believe in the devil or not, I'm sorry. You get examples of it every day. You see evil every single day of your life. And, oh, I don't believe in the devil. I just think things happen in the spirit. No. Some people have, just like God gave you an assignment, these people got assignments too. They have assignments too. Don't think that you in this blissful little world, in a little bubble, going around experiencing things on your own. The devil is a liar. There are things, there are angels assigned to you. But sure, these angels are assigned to you. And I'm doing a show on Friday talking about spiritualism. Because the things you put inside yourself, people. The reason why Tamara getting attacked, because of how we expose ourselves. The music we hear. The shows we watch. Even the talk shows we hear. All the subliminal messages, all these billboard signs. Everything, social media, everything you come in contact with. From your eyes and your ears. That's a way for demons to enter your body and corrupt your mind. Radio station, talk show, you name it. And you fall into that trap every single day thinking, oh, I can listen when I want. No, you can't. And I'm gonna get into that on Friday. Gonna be an awesome show, I promise you that. It's gonna be an awesome show. But Tamara on Oprah's show, she touched on prejudice a little bit. And she said she get called a white man's whore. This is what people called her. The new one was, back in the day, you cost $300, but now you're giving it to him for free. And this is what Tamara said people are writing to her. And this is the big one she says. They say, oh, Tia is a true black woman because she married a black man. And she says, and they say Tamara is lesser of a black person because she married a white man. And the rejection from the black community hits Tamara especially hard because her own parents had a similar relationship. Now I want you to understand this. She's getting it from both sides. But black folk, how the hell we gonna be hateful against someone married outside the race with all the hell we got? And we still get it. That's crazy. Tia says it's very hard for me to think of it because I'm a product of an interracial relationship. Again, I told you earlier, her mother was black and her father was white. And what's so awesome is she says, despite all this foolishness, she says none of all the negativity has caused her to rethink her marriage or her relationship with her husband. And it said it just made her that much more earnest about their union. And she said she loves her husband so much and their family. And she's proud to be in a relationship, and I am because it's based on love and pure love. It's crazy, man. And you ought to see this beautiful couple together. That beautiful little baby boy. I mean, it is just awesome. It's an awesome thing, people. And it's awesome. I won't leave you with this, though. When you talk about racism, because we know as a people the hell we went through. And boy, did we go through it. So many people, myself included, I remember my first taste of true racism came when I was 18 years old, when I moved out and got my first apartment. I was so excited. I got my first apartment, and I was living in Orlando, Florida, with my high school sweetheart. That was an awesome time. We both getting ready to go to college. We're young. She was black though, but here's the point. I got this job at this restaurant. Actually, it was the first Olive Garden that was built ever. And it was in Altamont Springs, Florida. I'll never forget. It was the first Olive Garden. I think it was back in 1985, I believe it was, that was built. And of course, back then they built them they built them close right to next to Red Lobster, because now you got Italian food and you got seafood, so they didn't collide with one another. But even so, here I am at this restaurant, and at first I was a busser, but then I became a server. But for a long time they wouldn't train me as a server. They told me at first I was too young, but then I saw there were about 4 or 5 white servers who were horrible, and they were 18 years old. They were too in college as well. But what struck me was the people that were coming in there were calling me grape ape and monkey and coon. And this one lady, I'll never forget, she kept saying, "Hey Guido, you got any collard greens?" At this table, there was about 10 people. And they just laughed and laughed. But not only I was getting heckled from the guests, the employees were just the same, because at this particular Olive Garden, it was the first one ever built. There was only 2 blacks. It was me and this black guy in the kitchen. And they taunted him too, but he kind of took it and laughed with it. Well, it wasn't funny to me, because they call you little nigger and everything. And I had never been so angry. I wanted to kill all of them, because I had never. I mean, you could feel the hate. And they wanted me to quit so bad, and they kept saying, you know, what is a black guy doing working in an Italian restaurant? First of all, it's not a damn Italian restaurant. It's an Olive Garden. My goodness. But what a time that was. What a time. And sometimes I was so angry, I was in tears. And thank God I did finally leave that job, but I left on my terms. After a full year there, I actually ended up moving to Atlanta, but I wasn't going to let them make me quit no job. Wasn't going to do it. And my point is, for people of color, we've been through so much as a people. We've been spat on, we've been talked about, you name it. There has been too many instances where we have suffered by the hands of so many people. And even today, you're still having racial profiling and all these other things that are going on. Even look what happened in New York City with the stop and frisk. Well, over 1 million in 2 years. And here it is, they talking about Homeland Security. Why every time when they start talking about terrorists, it turns right back on black folks and Hispanic folks? We know damn well we ain't got no bone. I just don't get that. It just baffles me that society will always find a way to get black folks and Hispanic folks in jail. Yeah, these guys are from the Middle East, but let's go deal with the black folks. They may got some weed over there. Or they be carrying a handgun. It's amazing. Again, people, we're dealing with principalities, evil, demonic. It's system. Everything in this world is systematic, but it's caused by the elites. And them dumb police officers, they think because of pension, let me tell you something. If you rally together, you ain't got to follow nobody's orders. Because you know where all these fools reside at. But don't worry, just like in the wilderness, we're going to die off. Many people are going to die off because they're going to sit there and go, hey, it is what it is. But these young people are going to rise up. And they're waking up. And no longer will they allow a handful of people to control the masses. That's why you see all these shows, all these vampire shows, showing you people with power to move, to slash, to do this, to jump, to disappear. Because that's what you were before. All power. Not all this stuff about trying to, hey, you want to be wealthy in just 3 months? All these things that they made a slave to. I'm going to end right there. Because my time is up. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And as we always say in parting, to love yourselves and to know yourselves, and know yourselves comes by spending time with God. Thank you, peace, and God bless.